Hey everybody, today we're going to take a look at this YesWelder MIG205DS-B aluminum MIG welder. YesWelder did send this out to me to test, review, and I'm going to bring you along and see what we got here. So stay tuned, we're going to unbox this, and if you haven't already, like the channel and subscribe. Okay, let's go over everything that comes in the box. Right here, you got your MIG torch. This is everything that comes through the MIG torch. You get the graphite liner, you get extra tips. This is for the aluminum process. You have the torch, it's a 10-foot lead. You got the Euro connector. And it's very comfortable in the hand. It's a very good torch. Over here we got our stinger, the stick welder. You got the DINS connector. It's a 10-foot lead as well. The spring action on the clip is very, very good. That'll hold your electrodes really well. It's basic, but it will work just fine. Over here, we got our ground clamp. All right, on the ground clamp, we got the DINS connector as well. It's also a 10-foot lead. The ground clip is a basic ground clip, but it's pretty strong. It'll just work fine. The core is pretty thick. Alright, so what we got here is your air line for hooking up your MIG gas or your Argon. And then you have your 220 to 110 adapter. This is what you need just to run off of the 110. In the center here, we got the extra rollers. You got the B, you got the U, and you got the W, depending on what process you use. You got the user manual. This is actually a really good manual. Really easy to follow, step-by-step instructions. The nice thing is that in order to use the MIG torch for the aluminum welding, you're going to have to replace the liner that's in here, put the graphite liner in. This gives you step-by-step instructions. It also shows you pictures too, where actually the nut is in the Euro connector to slide out your liner. It gives you really clear, precise directions. It also gives you directions on the optional spool reel. And I do have the spool reel to show you right now. Before we do that though, the other thing with the older welder is that they said there was no welding chart. Well, they give you the welding chart, and on the side of it, they give you the polarity for whatever process you're using. And it's also a sticker, so you can stick it to the machine or keep it as is and just keep it with the machine. Like I said earlier, this welder does weld aluminum. And it does take the optional spool gun. I did have this separate. This does not come with it. This is a separate accessory. I did look it up, and it's around $1.99 on their website. And you can still use that coupon code HARDWORK, and that'll get you an additional 10% off. It's a 13-foot lead. You have the extra roller, extra tips, and this is pretty much everything that comes with it. It does have the Euro connector, and this is the connector for your trigger, which runs your drive. Alright, so let's talk about the unit itself. This unit came with a broken front foot from shipping. YesWelder will send me a new foot. So the housing itself is what you'll see on the newer YesWelders. It's a nice black. Pretty sturdy, gives you a nice trim package right in here, and it gives you a shield for your controls. In the front, you have your DINS polarity, so you can go in between the positive and the negative. Right here, you have your Euro connector for your MIG torch, and also your spool gun. So, we'll get to the control panel in a minute. So on the side here, you got your door. You got your spool holder. This has the adapter on here, so you can go between the 1 to 2 pound if you do not have the adapter in place, or when you put the adapter in, you can go with the 10-pound spool. I do believe it's like 8 inches. You have a all-metal wire drive. Some welders use plastic. It's nice to see an all-metal. And the other thing you have in here, if you can see here, is your switch between this optional spool gun and your MIG torch. Work our way around to the back. All right, we got our fan. You got your inlet for your gas. You got your power switch. And the nice thing here is with all the newer YesWelders, they're coming with the 220 volt cords. The older models used to come with the all set up for 110, then you would have the adapter go to 220. I like this a lot better. All right, since we're going over the machine right now, let's go over the duty cycle. So this chart you see here is available in your user manual and also on the back of the welder itself. You will get a 60% duty cycle when running the welder at 100%. Now, the amperage range for your MIG220 volt is between 30 amps and 205 amps. At 110 volts, you're looking at 30 amps to 160 amps. Now, for the stick welder and the flux core, you're looking at, for the 220 volts, is between 20 amps and 180 amps. Or the 110 volt is 20 amps to 145 amps. Now for the TIG welder, which is pretty nice, at 220 volts, you'll go as low as 20 amps, all the way up to 205 amps, and at 110 volts, 20 amps to 160 amps. So let's go over the display. Okay, now we got our welder plugged in. Let's turn it on. Okay, let's start on the right. You have your adjustment knob. When you press the adjustment knob in, you get your parameters. The first option you have is inductance. That goes from a -10 to a +10. A high inductance setting will give you a wider, wetter weld pool. The lower the number will give you a more narrow bead. The next parameter you have is STP. The two options you have under STP is 2T and 4T. If you don't know the difference, 2T, you press the trigger, it starts welding. You release the trigger and it stops. Now with 4T, you press your trigger to release, it welds. To stop welding, you press the trigger again. The next parameter you have is hot start. It goes from 0 to 10, the default being 2. The next parameter is your feeder speed. The feeder speed goes from 0 to 10, the default being 2. And your last parameter is your burn back. Your burn back goes from 0 to 10, default being again a 2. That takes care of the adjustment knob. Now to the left of the adjustment knob you have an arrow pointing to the right. That is your wire size. You have a choice between the 045, the 035, the 030, and the 023. Your next button in the upper center has an arrow pointing in either direction. This is where you can adjust your current, your voltage, and if you're doing the manual TIG, this is where you can adjust your wire speed. The button in the lower center, this is your wire feed. The wire feed will help feed the wire through your gun assembly. To the left of the wire feed, you have the material selector. You can choose between 100% CO2, 2575 CO2 argon, flux cord, or aluminum. Now your next button, far left, pointing to the left, this is your process selection. You have a choice between manual MIG, synergic MIG, stick, and lift TIG. Okay, so we're going to load this up with some wire. So let's get in here now. Alright, one thing I want to mention about the drive roller, it's all metal, which is huge because some of these have plastic and this is all metal. It's a really good build. First thing I want to do is take out the drive roller. What you have here is, you see it's keyed, and that's how you put it in the correct way. This one is a .9. It's a .8. See how smooth it is? This is for gas MIG. And what we're looking at with that is that's a 030 and an 035. I told you before, you have multiple rollers that come with this. You have another spare 030, 035. You have the one that has a U on there. When you see that U, that's the type of shape we got here. This is for aluminum. And that's your different sizes. You got .9, which is the 035, then you got the 045 for aluminum wire. Then this one here is a .9 and also an 8. And you can see the difference in the roller. This one here is for flux core. So the wire we're going to use is 8, which is the 030. So I'm going to line up the key, slide it on, and tighten it up. Now on this machine, when you go to put the roller in, the inside is the number you're looking for. That's what lines up with your feed. Loosen this up. Gonna take off the center nut. Now what's preloaded here is the adapter for the larger reels. So we're going to take this apart, take your washer, your spring, and your next washer will come out with it. You're going to set this aside for a larger reel. So now we're set up for the smaller reel. You're going to feed under on this one. Make sure you don't let your wire go so it'll spin out on you. Washer, spring, washer, and then the nut. Okay, make sure you tighten down your nut well enough that it's going to hold your reel, otherwise it's going to spin out on you. You're going to feed it through. And there we go. Let's go off to the front so we can see how to feed this. Okay, we're going to turn the machine on. What you're going to do is press your wire feed. The longer you hold it, it'll speed up to its max speed. What you're looking for is this wire to pop out the end of your MIG gun. There we go. We're going to put our end on. Use the groove in here to tighten up. Let's screw our cap back on. There we go. What I have here is 1/4 inch flat bar. I'm going to run a couple beads on. I'm getting a good penetration. It's running a really nice bead. All right, let's clean it up and see what we got. This MIG gun does do a great weld. So I hit my scrap pile. Let's do a nice easy project with this MIG gun. Let's make a third hand. I'm using two 6-inch bolts for the feet. I have a piece of 1/2 inch solid round rod, and here I have a hex head adapter for a drill bit. Now let's see how it does on a T-joint. I'm welding 1/4 inch flat bar, and I got really good penetration. So let's clean it up. I'm really happy on how this MIG torch welds. It did a great job welding this 1/4 inch flat bar. Okay, on to the stick welder. What I'm going to try here is welding with 1/16 6013 rod. I'm going to see how well it does on 14 gauge steel. I'm at 60 amps and it's striking really easy. It's laying down a nice bead. Now let's see what 3/32 6013 rod will do on a piece of 3/16 steel plate. Once again, really easy to strike an arc, and I'm able to run really nice speeds. Alright, let's weld some aluminum. Alright, first thing you want to do is clean your aluminum. And you want a wire brush just for aluminum. What your goal is here is to dull it up. Now your goal is to have your aluminum as clean as possible. So after I'm done here, I'm going to get some acetone and wipe it down as well. Okay, the aluminum is clean. I did wipe it down with acetone. Let's tack it together. I'm doing 100% Argon. I did increase my wire speed. I did do a test before this and it was a little slow. You are going to get soot with aluminum. So, don't be alarmed if you see any soot. Let's see what we got here. Actually really nice, very nice bead there. You got really good penetration on the back side. When YesWelder contacted me and told me that they were sending me out this YesWelder MIG205DS-B, I didn't know anything about it. So I did a little research before I got the unit. Found nothing on this unit whatsoever. What I did find is the older unit, the MIG205DS. The MIG205DS was listed as a great MIG welder for under $400. It had a lot of pros and a couple cons. Those cons were that it had a 110 cord with the adapter that went to 220. It did not weld aluminum. It did not have a good user manual. It did not have a welding chart inside. So when I got this unit, my first thought was YesWelder was listening to that feedback. The manual, it's a really good manual. It does explain in detail how to change out the liner to make this weld aluminum. It does have the welding chart. The cord is a 220 cord with the adapter to 110. So let's talk about each thing here. The MIG torch, really good MIG torch. Like the old unit, it does a really good job welding with MIG. The stick welding, really easy strike and arc. Even though I'm not a big fan of stick, it does a great job doing so. It does also have the option of lip TIG, but the torch does not come with this unit. And the big thing is it does weld aluminum and it is also spool gun compatible. So would I recommend the YesWelder 205DS-B? Absolutely. It's a great MIG welder, aluminum welder, and it's under $500. You're going to have a hard time finding another welder with that price point that does all this. I will leave a link below for everything you see here. And like I said, my discount code is HARDWORK. That'll get you 10% off anything on their website. Thanks again. If you haven't already, please subscribe and like the channel. I'll see you on the next video.